the mechanical mismatch between humans and electronics, right? So electronics are boxy and rigid, humans are curvy and soft. That's a mechanical mismatch problem. Well, a researcher at the University of Illinois, his name is Dr. Rogers, what he discovered is that he could use standard CMOS techniques to make islands of high-performance silicon connected by accordion-like structures that would allow it to stretch up to 200% and still be performing. And what he did is he founded a company, and they started making electronic tattoos. So I'm wearing one here on my arm.
Do we have
here.
A camera to get a...
This is a developmental system made by MC10, and it has an antenna and some sensors embedded in it. And what we plan to do is work with them to advance a tattoo that could be used for authentication. Now, it may be true that 10 to 20-year-olds don't want to wear a watch on their wrist, but you can be sure that they'll be far more interested in wearing an electronic tattoo, if only to piss off their parents. Right?
And that can have a design, right? Because
Sure.
they would certainly want some kind of cool design.
Options,
right?
options. And that's something that you wear, but you could also imagine including authentication in just your daily habits. So I take a vitamin every morning. What if I could take vitamin authentication?
What?
Vitamin authentication. Look, I have one right here. Well, here, I'll let you hold it. Would you like to hold it?
I'll hold it.
Okay. So this...
You guys see it?
This pill has a small chip inside of it with a switch. It also has what amounts to an inside-out potato battery. When you swallow it, the acids in your stomach serve as the electrolyte, and they power it up, and the switch goes on and off. And it creates an 18-bit ECG-like signal in your body, and essentially your entire body becomes your authentication token. Yes, this is true. Okay?
Okay, but...
Okay, so wait. So it's really true. So what this means is that becomes my first superpower. I really want this superpower. It means that my arms are like wires, my hands are like alligator clips. When I touch my phone, my computer, my door, my car, I'm authenticated in. First superpower. Like, I want that.
Hey guys, it's KJ from the Scariest Movie Ever channel on YouTube. And do you remember that clip? That clip was all over the place on YouTube a few years ago. I made this video right here, 666, Mark of the Beast will give you superpowers, back in November of 2013. So it's been almost 3 years. And I bring that up because there's a news story that just came out a few weeks ago that somehow I had missed, but I wound up stumbling on it a few days ago. And I was really surprised because this Mark of the Beast Google technology offering superpowers to be chipped is actually already taking place now. They finally started bringing it in. 3 years later, but we're actually seeing it happen now. Let's check out the story. And here's the story, and you can find this through multiple sources. This is actually through news.com Australia that I found this story right here. But as I said, you go back a few weeks and you'll see the story all over the place. August 25th, 2016, Australians embracing superhuman microchip technology. It may sound like sci-fi, but hundreds of Australians are turning themselves into superhumans, quote-unquote, who can unlock doors, turn on lights, and log into computers with a wave of the hand. Does that sound familiar to you? Does any of this sound familiar? Let's read on. Shanti Corporal from Sydney is at the center of the phenomenon after having 2 implants inserted under her skin. Now she can get into work in her car without carrying a card or keys, and says her ultimate goal is to completely do away with her wallet and cards. You could set up your life so you never have to worry about any password or pins, she told the news. It's the same technology as PayPass, so I'm hoping you'll be able to pay for things with it. With Opal, you get a unique identification number that could be programmed into the chip. Any door with a swipe card, it could open your computer, photocopier. Loyalty cards for shops are just another thing for your wallet. The microchips, which are the size of a grain of rice, can act like a business card and transfer contact details to smartphones and hold complex medical data. Shanti has had some messages from ultra-conservative Christians on Facebook telling her she's going to hell but the reaction has mainly been one of intrigue. "My Nana wants one," laughs Shanti. "I've had more opposition to my tattoos than I've ever had to the chip. My friends are jealous." When the 27-year-old realized just how coveted the implants were, she set up an Australian distribution service called Chip My Life with her husband. It costs between $80 and $140 depending on the sophistication of the technology, and while you can do it at home, they work with doctors who charge $150 to insert the implant. They do minor surgery, Botox and so on, says Shanti. They give you a local, an injection, and a quick ultrasound to make sure it's in place. The biohacking couple both have RFID chips in their left hands and NFC chips in the right. The implant is almost impossible to spot, leaving a mark as small as a freckle. So Shanti had appeared at this Sydney launch of a cyborg-themed video game, alongside U.S. implantable technology pioneer Amal Grafstra. Amal considers himself a guinea pig for human augmentation, making headlines in the U.S. last week with a prototype of the world's first implant-activated smart gun. He became one of the world's first RFID implantees in 2005 and has since founded an online store to sell at-home kits to people who want to, quote, upgrade their body. He's written a book, spoken at TEDx, and appeared in documentaries. On a psychological level, this is completely different to a smartphone or a Fitbit because it goes in you. Your kidneys are working hard, but you're not thinking about them. It's not something you have to manage. It's given me the ability to communicate with machines. It's literally integrated into who I am. Wow. He is aware of the ethical and security concerns, but points out that the data is encrypted, and most of your access cards are not secure anyway. This is simply a case of computing in the body. He believes the destruction of the chip could in some cases classify as assault, and other dangers might be governments forcibly extracting implants or data from them. "I want to make sure it's treated as part of the body, like an organ," he says. One firm in Sweden has allowed employees to choose chips over a work pass, with 400 taking up the offer, but Amal says he more often hears from interested individuals who want to try it out. At the moment, it's mainly access, house, computer, motorcycle, but in the future there's the potential to use it for transit, payment. You could get rid of your keys and maybe your wallet. Other uses might include children tapping to let parents know they are at school safely, refugees checking in at camps, or women at shelters. It can share diet, exercise, and sleep information with you and your doctor, and the next generation could even release medicine as and when you need it. For Shanti, adding an extra dimension to life is a childhood fantasy come true. Ever since watching movies like The Terminator, Matrix, and Minority Report, I wondered if we could actually live like that. I always wondered why we all weren't living as superhumans. And there you have it. I mean, you can literally see the beginning of this stuff actually happening now in our reality. You can see people actually bringing this technology in, utilizing it. This really is in the beginning stages. Everything we read from that article sounds vaguely familiar, doesn't it? Sounds just like what Regina Dugan was talking about in that video clip. Regina Dugan used to work for DARPA, and now she works for Google. At least at the time of that recording, she's working for Google. So it only took them 3 years. It took them 3 years, and now this is slowly starting to roll out. We're literally seeing people using this technology right now for, quote, superpowers, because that's how it's going to be sold to people. And yes, of course, it's a little bit different because Regina Dugan was talking about the so-called chip being more of something you can place on top of your skin. But I have no doubt that that'll come eventually. This is all developing right now. And even from the article, it's interesting because we saw how they called out, conservative Christians saying, oh, it's the mark of the beast and all that. And of course people are going to mock and ridicule that idea right now because it doesn't seem like that's exactly what's taking place here. And that's how it's going to be sold to us. Again, it's sold to you like, hey, it's a good idea. This is just going to help you out. It's going to make life a little easier. So we're still in that stage of this process. They have to sell it to the masses, right? They know that there's millions of people all over the world that are scared of this and think that it's going to be evil and the mark of the beast. So we're literally watching them roll this out to the public as something cool, as something good, as something helpful. They have to sell it to the public. And as it stands right now in the form that it's taking, in this case right here, this isn't the, evil, mark of the beast and all that stuff, right? Not yet. We're just seeing the process. Again, we're seeing a slow process of indoctrination with this. So perhaps once they get millions of people to sign on to this idea as it stands now, this chip, right, that's going to help you out and make life easier, perhaps that's just a part of the first phase. And then perhaps after that they start doing upgrades, right? And what will those upgrades look like? I'm not sure. Either way, guys, that's the video. It's a short one, but I just wanted to share with you that we saw this coming 3 years ago, and now we actually see it manifesting in our reality. So we'll keep an eye on this story, and thanks again for checking out the video. Take care out there, you guys, and I'll talk to you real soon.
The world is on the verge of global change. The speed of data transmission has increased by multiples of millions. The rate of globally significant events and that of discoveries and crises is growing exponentially. Our civilization is like an uncaptained ship sailing on rough seas with neither chart nor compass, all the while moving faster and faster. The time we have to make the right decisions is shorter and shorter. We are facing the choice to fall into a new dark age, into affliction and degradation, or to find a new model for human development and create not simply a new civilization, but a new mankind. Historic crises show that to break the deadlock, we need technological revolution. It is clear that today's revolution will also require the deepest social transformation. The world's community and leaders should encourage mankind, instead of wasting resources on solving momentary problems, to focus on the technologies of the future: nanotechnology, biotechnology, information technology, cognitive technology, genetics and robotics. Doing so will allow us to find new sources of energy, create fundamentally new architecture and transportation, allow unprecedented developments of human cognitive abilities, refine artificial intelligences and brain-computer interfaces, simulate complex systems, create humanoid robots and cyborgs, and with the help of nanorobots, we may develop manageable matter. Find ways to transfer one's personality to an artificial carrier. Yet what we need is not just another technological revolution, but a new civilizational paradigm. We need new philosophy and ideology, new ethics, new culture and new psychology, and even new metaphysics. We must reset our limits, go beyond ourselves, beyond the Earth and beyond the solar system. This is an adequate response to the challenges of our time. Thus, new reality and future man will arise.
My hands are like alligator clips when I touch my phone, my computer, my door, my car. I'm authenticated in. First superpower. Like, I want that.
But, you know, the whole move of these implants, there are a couple of stupid companies like the Verichip Corporation, with all its various names, that come out and say, oh, well, we want to sell this as a product. I don't think it's going to happen that way. People don't want an ID microchip. But if you turn around and instead say, you'll be able to listen to music and access Facebook and you know, get your email through this little implant, you're going to have a stampede of people wanting to do it.